I am giving you another video to make fun of and draw all over. Here we go. So on Friday, you were supposed to take notes on paraphrasing. If you were not here on Friday, then go to Friday's agenda and you will find it. So just as reminders, remember paraphrasing is taking what someone else says and saying it in your own words. You do not want to change the meaning too much so that the whole thing changes. Also, you don't want to keep it too similar, so don't just change like a couple words. Here are the tips that are going to help you with that. Tip number one is to read the whole entire text and then ask yourself, what's the main idea? Tip two is then pulling like specific words or phrases that are going to be used that you don't see yourself changing. Tip three is the biggest tip I have for you is after you read that section, I want you to not look at it because if you look at it, you might keep it too similar and you are going to write your own version. Then step four is you're going to look at that old version and your version and you're going to compare. If they're too similar, you need to change it. If they're too different and you change the meaning, you also need to change it. And then tip five is even when we're paraphrasing, you need to add a citation at the end. So if you remember, we did this where you read that about the resort vacation, you wrote your own paraphrased example. Today you are going to have an activity where you are going to paraphrase parts of an article. That article is the same as this one. So I'm going to show you an example of what I did so that you know how you're going to do it. All right. So it says the Federal Environmental Protection Agency has approved a plan by a British biotech company called Ozotec or Oxitec to release about 1 billion genetically modified mosquitoes in the Florida Keys and next year in Texas. The mosquitoes, codenamed OX5034, will only be male, the gender that does not bite humans, and will carry a new gene that will be passed on to their female offspring and cause them to die while they're still larvae. Repeated release of such Trojan horse mosquitoes should kill, in theory, 90% of the local population of the Aedes aegypti mosquito, which are capable of transmitting the Zika and West Nile virus as well as yellow fever. So if I was in front of you right now, I would ask, we just read that whole thing, try to summarize it into one sentence. What is the main idea of that? So maybe think right now, what was the main idea of that passage? For me, the main idea of the passage is that some states are trying to introduce genetically modified mosquitoes because they're going to try to cut down on certain diseases. What you need to do next, after you decide the main idea, is you should go through and kind of highlight some words that you don't think you're going to change. So for me, the Federal Environmental Protection Agency is probably something I can't change. It's probably needed. Genetically modified mosquitoes, I need to include that. I also think I'm going to include the gender that does not bite humans because that helps with understanding. I feel there's probably a different way I can say that than saying exactly that, but that's a detail I want to include. And then it's really important that I'm pulling the idea that it's going to kill potentially all of these different viruses and diseases. So I highlighted after I decided the main idea. From there, I looked away and I wrote my own. I'm going to read you my own. It says the Federal Environmental Protection Agency recently approved the release of genetically modified mosquitoes that will help to kill other virus-carrying mosquitoes. If all goes well, this genetic modification will work to get rid of mosquito-borne illnesses such as Zika, yellow fever, and West Nile by killing 90% of the mosquitoes that cause these diseases. Likewise, humans won't be impacted because scientists are only making modifications to the male mosquito, which don't bite humans. And then I have my in-text citation, which is the weak staff. Again, I wrote this version without looking at the old version, and that helped me not make it too similar. What you're going to do now is on Google Classroom. This is third hour right now, but you'll have the same thing. You're going to click on this practice. And again, it's about the same exact article. So it's about these genetically modified mosquitoes. It's just different passages. You have two different sections and you are going to paraphrase them and then you're going to turn it in. I'd love to show you if the computer would speed up. I'm not going to waste your time. You will find them. You're going to paraphrase them. And then from there, whoever your sub is, if they want to ask somebody how they did that, so maybe, hey, who paraphrased the first one and thinks they did it well, you can do that. But that's not required. So anyways, that is the grammar for today. The rest of the time you're going to be reading night. You are assigned chapters 2 and chapters 3. So work through that and message me on Remind if you have any questions. I will be grading your Holocaust essays. Have a good day and be nice to the sub or else.